So, my first question for you is about this particular book. So, in this book, Amy has a chronic illness, and I know that you drew inspiration for that illness from real life. And so, I wondered if you could just talk a little bit more about how important it is for you to draw on personal experiences or things that you or family or friends have experienced when you're creating the life life and loves of your characters.
Interesting question. Yeah. So for this in particular, when I was first outlining the series, I knew that I wanted Amy to have a chronic illness. It was a partly because in Persuasion, they say like 17 times that Anne Elliot has lost the bloom of her youth and she's 28. And I was just like, well, what if she lost her bloom of youth, not because of age, but because she's ill? And so I first kind of just was like, I want it to be a chronic illness. I know I want it to be something that she's suffering from, but also something that's not deadly. I don't want to give her consumption, but I didn't know what that would be. And so I literally wrote, like, this is something you're going to have to research. What would be a good chronic illness to give her? And then, like, that same month, I started experiencing heart palpitations. I lost weight unexpectedly. I lost a lot of hair. I had all these things. My body was just being weird. And it ended in a diagnosis of Graves' disease, which is a form of hyperthyroidism. And despite its name, it's not actually that grave if you get medicine. And so that kind of answered for me what her illness would be. And I also, when I first was writing, oh, I want this to be a chronic illness, I had this fear around, I don't want to tell a story of someone else's chronic illness and get it wrong, which is the fear I have with pretty much every book that I'm writing. I am at some point writing an identity that is not my own and an experience that is not my own. So with this book, I was really able to just say, oh, okay, I'm going to draw on my own experience. And I heightened some things, like I've never fainted, but hyperthyroidism does increase anxiety and stuff like that. But a lot of times when I'm exploring an identity that is not my own, I end up using an authenticity reader who I pay to read it just to tell me whether it rings true with their experience. But that said, I think even when I'm exploring identities that are not my own, I'm connecting to the character with something that's my life experience. So, like, to answer your question, it's very important that I have something that resonates. So, like, Adrian Hawthorne in the husband plot is a mixed race, Black Jamaican, British man. And I, on the surface, don't have very much in common with him, but he also has this experience of belonging to multiple cultures and not belonging to any of them, which is something since we moved around internationally growing up that I know and experience. And so that was the part of him that I was really more focused. I wasn't trying to say this is the experience of a Black Jamaican British man. It was more like this is the experience of someone who doesn't fit in.
Yeah, awesome. In this series, the Preston series, family is an important part of the story, right? The whole series is based around one family, and the siblings all show up in each other's books and all of that sort
It's
of thing.
true.
So obviously, historical romances are about romantic love, but family also often plays an important role. How do you view the balance between family love and romantic love in your books? And do you, how much do you think that that shapes your characters?
Mm. I think about it a lot. There's often a tension between family love and romantic love. And sometimes the family is very supportive of love, but oftentimes the family is one of the obstacles to their happily ever afters. And with the Prestons, I think in general, I have explored a supportive family dynamic so far. And intentionally so, because their family values love and they value people being able to kind of self determine what is going to make them happy. But at the same time, when I think about the Preston family, with each book, I want to explore how does that sibling or member of the family relate to their family. And it's not just, oh, how do I relate to my parents? But the family stands for so much and has so many weird radical values that, they're not allowed to import things. They don't buy things that are really outside of their estate. They don't wear cotton or silk or anything that the upper class normally consumes. So like they're basically leading like this like weird, austere, almost like Amish life out of their principles. And so I think in the Prestons, the tension is less about what is my relationship to my specific family members and more what is my relationship to what my family stands for. And that's what I'm really curious about and kind of the journey that each book is about.
Yeah, so less about like the actual family members and the love for the family members, but like the name of the title almost, right?
Yeah, the
like the
legacy.
relationship with the, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And do they choose to have those same principles? Like Ellen 100% is behind it and kind of has to be disillusioned. And then Sophia is 100% not behind it. She thinks. And then I think, spoiler alert, by the end of the book, she's more of a Preston than she thought she was.